I lost everything. My house, my car, my life savings, gone. How could this happen? Where did it all go wrong? Could gambling references in video games lead to kids developing gambling addictions down the road? It seems some would say yes, which is why the Game Corner in Pokémon has closed down for good. Gambling was a minor mechanic that appeared in every early Pokémon game, but its removal didn't happen as a result of wanting to shake up the gameplay. This mechanic was removed for a different reason: regulations. Was this the right decision? Did removing the Game Corner mess up a beloved aspect of Pokémon? Let's explore the history of gambling in Pokémon and figure out if the series is better off having removed slot machines. The removal of this mechanic started in Generation 4. In South Korea, there were no slot machines starting in Pokémon Diamond and Pearl. Then, when Pokémon Platinum came out, the Game Corner was then also removed in Europe, since there were changes made to Europe's game rating system that labeled gambling references as 18+. Then, in Pokémon Heart Gold and Soul Silver, the slot machines were removed everywhere except for Japan. From Generation 5 onward, there have been no slot machines in any Pokémon game. Since I'm not European, the first I noticed of the removal of the Game Corner was when I played Pokémon Heart Gold and Soul Silver, which replaced the slot machines with a game called Voltorb Flip, a game that 11-year-old me did not understand the rules of. Now, the Game Corner was removed because of a changing cultural perception of gambling in video games. I am not a fan of gambling. I think a lot of real-life gambling is extremely exploitative to people with neurological disorders, those with mental health problems, and the elderly. I think an important distinction between the real-life gambling I dislike and the gambling we see in video games like Pokémon is that none of these games encourage their player to bet real money. It seems these guidelines come from a concern that gambling simulation in kids' games could lead to a desire to try the real thing when those kids grow up. Not super easy to tell if this would really be the case. Makes me think of that whole video games cause violence, ban Grand Theft Auto thing. There might be a little more nuance and research on this subject, so let me know in the comments if there's anything I missed. Gambling is even treated negatively in Pokémon. You actually have to get a little PSA before you can even gamble in the original Pokémon Red and Blue. No, seriously, in order to bet on the slots, you have to get a coin case to hold on to your coins. And the only way to get it is to talk to this guy here. And what does he say? He says he lost all his money at the slots. He's warning you about the dangers of gambling. There's a bunch of other NPCs that also speak ill of the practice, saying that the Game Corner is corrupting their town. The Game Corner is even owned by Team Rocket, you know, the villains. So no, I don't think they should remove the Game Corner just because it references gambling. Not everything in media aimed at all ages has to be completely sanitized. Gambling exists. It's a part of this world. With all that being said, I'm glad they removed the Game Corner, because it was a boring and luck-based mechanic that kept the player from getting content in the game. So now that we've got all the discussion about the morality of gambling out of the way, let's actually discuss gameplay and take a look at all of the different Game Corners across the first 4 generations of Pokémon. In Pokémon Red and Blue, the Game Corner had you buy coins and then put them in the slot machine, and maybe you'll get more coins. That's about it. It's really dumb if you think about it. Getting more coins either means spending more money, or it's just a war of attrition where you press A until you get more coins. The Game Corner basically works the same way in each subsequent appearance, except for Heart Gold and Soul Silver, but we'll get to that. Now, the biggest issue I have with the original Game Corner is that Pokémon are hidden behind it. Porygon is an exclusive Pokémon only available as a Game Corner prize. Scyther, Pinsir, and Dratini are also good prizes because you can get them before Badge 4 instead of after Pokémon Tower. Now, I think other methods of getting Pokémon besides finding them in regular grass is great. The problem is that these Pokémon aren't fun to get. They either make you broke or you waste hours trying your luck on slot machines. That's not good and engaging gameplay. Pokémon Gold, Silver, and Crystal, and the remakes of Gen 1, Pokémon Fire Red and Leaf Green, have essentially the same sort of Game Corner, where Pokémon are hidden as prizes. There is one difference in Gen 2. There's this little card game where you can place bets on what Pokémon is behind the card. It's still as luck-based as the slots, but a nice piece of variety nonetheless. Ruby and Sapphire has the same slot machines, but stopped with giving Pokemon as prizes. The prizes are essentially some good TMs and the dolls of the starters. It's annoying these good TMs are locked behind this. Personally, I prefer the Gen 5 change of unlimited TMs, so the fact that you can only use one Ice Beam that's so hard to get your hands on is a bit frustrating. Hoenn also added a roulette wheel with the slot machines. I like the Pokemon icons of the roulette wheel, but it's just as annoyingly luck-based as the slots. Overall, the Hoenn Game Corner is both better and worse because it has less remarkable prizes, i.e. it got rid of Pokemon as prizes. Sure, that's better because you can just ignore the Game Corner and still catch them all. But it's also worse because, well, there's no good prizes. You may as well just get rid of the Game Corner at this point, which, well, they did. In Sinnoh, the Game Corner is back to only being slot machines. They tried to do this fun thing with the bottom screen in the Clefairy. Apparently Clefairy is there to help mitigate the luck problem because you can press A where Clefairy is pointing and make sure you get a certain part of the slots. At that point it just becomes a timing thing, which isn't too fun either. Similar to Hoenn, there aren't Pokemon prizes anymore, so I find myself skipping this one as well. I think by now the developers were aware that some countries weren't going to allow gambling, so they minimized the use of the Game Corner so those regions without it wouldn't miss out on any extra content. In Heart Gold and Soul Silver, they kept the Game Corner in the Japanese version, but all other versions got Voltorb Flip. Voltorb Flip is basically Minesweeper. You have a board of face-down cards, and you can see the number of points that appear in each row going up and going side to side. You can also see the amount of Voltorbs that are in each row. If you flip a Voltorb, you lose. So basically, you want to flip all the non-Voltorb tiles. There is one major flaw with Voltorb Flip, and it's that the only way to get coins is to play the game. You can't buy coins, so if you want any of the prizes, you have to play Voltorb Flip for it. And Heart Gold and Soul Silver is another game that hides Pokemon behind coins. The most notable Game Corner exclusive Pokemon in these games is Dratini, which you could receive before the third badge. Voltorb Flip is fun for about 10 minutes, and even the lowest priced prizes would absolutely take longer than that to win. How would I improve the Game Corner? First off, remove slot machines or roulette. I mean, now we're legally obligated to, but I would have removed them anyway. You don't want to have too much of your game relying on luck. Luck only really works in tandem with skill. Looking at you, Chance Time in Mario Party. God, I hate Chance Time. The Game Corner doesn't have to be casino games. It could be repurposed into an arcade. I don't know why they didn't just do this afterward. It seemed like Voltorb Flip was moving us in that direction. But you know what really should have replaced the Game Corner? Pokémon Pinball. I suppose this couldn't have happened back in Gen 1, or in Gen 3 because Pokémon Pinball was its own separate game and was able to be marketed as such. But clearly Game Freak doesn't see a market for Pokémon Pinball as its own game anymore. So why not have it be a part of the Game Corner? Should these buildings really sit empty when there's an excellent alternative that's been ignored for nearly 20 years? The Game Corner is definitely not the biggest part of Pokemon. It had a lot of significance in the first generation because it was the location of Team Rocket's hideout, but in each subsequent release it was acknowledged less and less until it was ultimately removed entirely. I don't miss the Game Corner in future games that don't have it, and was actively annoyed by it when I replay games that lock Pokemon away behind it. If there's anything we've truly lost from gambling restrictions in kids games, it's Casino Luigi. I'll miss that dapper guy. Hey, if you like this video where I overanalyze gambling in Pokemon, you should check out this other video where I criticize an even worse piece of side content, Pokemon Emerald Soot Sack. Or if you want to watch me actually play the games, check out my live channel. We've got a video on there where my girlfriend tried to answer all of Blaine's gym quizzes. Spoiler alert, I had to fight a few trainers. Thank you so much for watching. See you next time.